I never expected this on my birthday, especially from my own father. My name is Jessica Collins, now 30 years old, a successful coffee shop owner. I'm a dreamer, caring, and resilient, but also influenced by family dynamics. At the time, I was an aspiring entrepreneur from a middle-class family in Denver, Colorado, USA. I always felt overshadowed by my younger brother, Lucas, but something made me very sad on my 24th birthday, especially coming from my own father. Welcome to Revenge Cat. We reveal gripping stories of broken trust, family secrets, and shocking twists. If you're craving powerful narratives, raw emotions, and the sweet pain of karma, this is your place. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. Hi everyone, my name is Jessica, and I need to tell you about the birthday that destroyed me, and how I got my revenge 6 years later. I'm 30 now, successful, independent. But when I was 24, living in Denver with my family, I thought my father might finally see me. Really see me. I was so wrong. What happened on that March evening didn't just break my heart. It shattered everything I believed about family, about love, about my own worth. But here's what my father never expected. Sometimes the daughter you call a mistake grows up to be your biggest regret. Before I tell you what he said to me in front of our entire family, let me paint you the picture of who I was back then, because you need to understand just how deep that knife went when he twisted it. My name is Jessica Collins, and I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in Denver. From the outside, we looked like the perfect American family. 2 kids, nice house, family dinners on Sundays. But inside those walls, I was invisible. My younger brother Lucas was the golden child. Everything he touched turned to gold in my father's eyes. Honor roll. Dad threw him a celebration. Made the varsity team. Dad bought him new equipment and bragged to everyone at work. Got accepted to college. Dad nearly cried with pride. I graduated summa cum laude from business school. My father's response: "That's nice, honey." I started 3 different small businesses by age 24, sold handmade jewelry online, tutored kids in math, even started a small catering service for local events. I was scrappy, determined, working 16-hour days to prove myself. But nothing I did mattered. Nothing I achieved was ever enough to earn what Lucas got just for existing. My mother saw it. She'd give me these sad, apologetic looks when Dad would go on and on about Lucas's latest accomplishment while completely ignoring mine. But she never said anything. She never stood up for me. By my 24th birthday, I was exhausted. Exhausted from trying so hard to be seen, to be valued, to matter to the one person whose approval I craved most. I should have known better. But hope is a dangerous thing, especially when you're desperate for love. March 15, 2019. I remember the date because it's burned into my memory like a brand. I woke up that morning with this stupid, naive optimism. Maybe this year would be different. Maybe 24 would be the year my father finally acknowledged that I was more than just there. The signs seemed good. Mom had decorated the living room with balloons. Dad actually took the day off work, which never happened. Extended family was coming over. My aunts, uncles, even my grandparents drove in from Colorado Springs. "We're doing something special this year, Jess," Mom said, squeezing my hand over breakfast. There was something in her eyes I couldn't read. Excitement, nervousness. I chose to believe it was excitement. Lucas was home from college for spring break, and even he seemed different. Quieter than usual. He kept giving me these weird looks, like he knew something I didn't. "What's going on?" I asked him while we were setting up chairs in the living room. "Nothing," he said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. "Dad just, he has something planned." My heart started racing. In all my years, My father had never planned anything for my birthday beyond a store-bought cake and a card signed by both parents. Was this it? Was this finally the moment he'd show me I mattered? Me. God, I was such a fool. The guests started arriving around 6. My Aunt Sarah, Uncle Mike, my grandparents, some family friends. Everyone was acting strange. Too cheerful, too bright, like they were all in on some secret. "Happy birthday, sweetheart," Grandma said, hugging me tight. But when she pulled back, her eyes looked, sad, worried. I couldn't figure out why. The evening progressed normally. We had dinner. Everyone chatted. I opened a few small presents. A scarf from Aunt Sarah, a book from the neighbors. Standard stuff. But I kept waiting. Waiting for whatever Dad had planned. The something special Mom mentioned. I had no idea I was about to experience the most humiliating moment of my entire life. And it was going to happen in front of everyone I loved. After dessert, Dad stood up. The room went quiet. "Before everyone heads home," he said, clearing his throat, "I want to say something." My heart stopped. This was it. 24 years of waiting, and finally, my father was going to acknowledge me. Maybe thank me for all my hard work. Maybe tell everyone how proud he was of his daughter. "Jessica," he said, turning to me with a smile that made my stomach flip with anticipation. "It's your special day." I felt tears prick my eyes. Years of feeling invisible. And now, surrounded by family, my father was going to make it right. "But," he continued, "I realized there's something more important we need to celebrate tonight." "Wait, what?" Dad reached behind his chair and pulled out a large, expensive-looking box. My heart started pounding again, but now for a different reason. Something was wrong. Something was very, very wrong. "Lucas," Dad said, turning away from me completely. "Come here, son." The room felt like it was tilting. I watched in horror as my 22-year-old brother walked over, confusion clear on his face. "I know it's Jessica's birthday," Dad announced to the room, "but I couldn't wait another day to give you this." The box was big, expensive, the kind of present I'd been dreaming of receiving for years. Something that showed thought, planning, love. Lucas opened it slowly. Inside was a professional-grade camera. The kind that costs thousands of dollars. The kind I'd been saving up for to help with my catering business. Taking photos of my food for marketing. "For your photography electives next semester," Dad beamed. "I know how much this means to you." Lucas had mentioned wanting to try photography exactly once. At dinner 2 weeks ago, he'd mentioned it in passing. Said it might be fun. And my father remembered. My father, who couldn't remember a single one of my business ventures, who'd never asked about my dreams, who'd never once bought me a present that was ungeneric gift card or afterthought. Jewelry, he remembered Lucas's passing comment and spent thousands of dollars on it. On my birthday. In front of everyone. The room was dead silent. I could feel every pair of eyes bouncing between me and Lucas and Dad. My brother looked mortified. He knew how wrong this was. "Dad," Lucas started, "maybe we should. Don't be modest." Dad cut him off, clapping him on the shoulder. "You deserve this. You've worked so hard in school, and I want to support your interests." My interests. My dreams. My business that I'd been building with my own hands while working 2 side jobs. None of that mattered. But Lucas mentions photography once, and suddenly my father becomes Mr. Supportive. I couldn't breathe. The humiliation was crushing me from the inside out. Everyone was staring at me with pity, waiting to see how I'd react. I tried to smile. I tried to be the good daughter, the understanding sister. But my face wouldn't cooperate. What happened next didn't just break my heart. It destroyed something fundamental inside me. And I'm still not sure I've fully recovered. "Dad," I said quietly, my voice barely steady. It's my birthday." The words hung in the air like a accusation. which I guess they were. My father turned to look at me, and something shifted in his expression. The fake cheerfulness melted away, replaced by something colder. Irritated. Yes, Jessica. I know it's your birthday. So why are you giving Lucas a present? The question came out small and broken. I hated how pathetic I sounded, but I couldn't help it. 24 years of being overlooked had led to this moment, and I couldn't pretend anymore that it didn't hurt. Dad's jaw tightened. I de-embarrassed him in front of the family by pointing out what everyone could already see. That he'd chosen my birthday to shower my brother with love and attention. Lucas is going back to school next week, Dad said, his voice getting harder. I wanted to give this to him while family was here to celebrate. But it's my birthday, I repeated, feeling like a child but unable to stop myself. My birthday party. With my family here to celebrate me. I saw something dangerous flash in Dad's eyes. He didn't like being challenged. He especially didn't like being challenged in front of people. You want to know why? He said, taking a step toward me. Robert, my mother warned, but he ignored her. You really want to know why Lucas gets the presents and the attention and the celebration? Everyone in the room was frozen. My grandmother's hand was pressed to her chest. Uncle Mike looked like he wanted to disappear. Lucas was shaking his head, mouthing "don't" to Dad, but my father was done pretending. Done being polite. Done acting like we were one big happy family. Because Lucas was planned. Lucas was wanted. Lucas was the child we chose to have. His words hit me like physical blows. But he wasn't done. He looked me straight in the eyes, and I saw 24 years of resentment and disappointment staring back at me. You were a mistake. The room went dead silent. You were a mistake, Jessica. An accident. A slip-up that derailed our lives and forced us to have 2 kids instead of 1. So forgive me if I don't feel like celebrating the anniversary of the day you complicated everything. I want you to imagine hearing those words from your father. On your birthday. In front of your entire family. I want you to imagine 24 years of trying to earn love. Trying to prove your worth. Trying to be enough. Only to discover you never had a chance. Because in his mind, you were never supposed to exist in the first place. I don't remember much about what happened immediately after. It's like my brain shut down to protect me. I remember my grandmother gasping. I remember my mother starting to cry. I remember Lucas dropping the camera box and saying, "Jesus Christ, Dad, what is wrong with you?" But mostly I remember the silence. The horrible, suffocating silence that followed my father's words. I stood there for what felt like hours, but was probably only seconds, waiting for him to take it back. Waiting for him to say he didn't mean it, that he was just angry, that of course he loved me. He didn't. Instead, he turned his back on me and walked out of the room. "Happy birthday, Jessica," he called over his shoulder, like nothing had happened. That's when I broke. I ran. Straight out of the house, past the cars in the driveway, down the street in my birthday dress and heels. I could hear people calling after me. Mom, Lucas, Aunt Sarah. But I couldn't stop. I ended up at a 24-hour diner 3 miles from home, crying into a cup of coffee I couldn't afford while some concerned waitress asked if I needed to call someone. Who was I going to call? The family that just watched my father destroy me. The friends who were probably all getting texts about the drama at Jessica's birthday party. I sat there until sunrise, replaying every moment, every word, every look on their faces. The worst part wasn't even what he said. The worst part was that deep down, I'd always suspected it. I'd always felt like I was too much, like I was in the way. Like maybe the reason Dad never loved me the way he loved Lucas was because I was fundamentally flawed. And now I knew. It wasn't about what I did or didn't do. It wasn't about my accomplishments or my failures. It was about my very existence being unwanted. When I finally went home the next morning, Dad was gone. Back to work like nothing happened. Mom was in the kitchen, red-eyed, and quiet. "Honey," she started, but I held up my hand. "Is it true?" I asked. She looked at me with those same pitying eyes I'd been seeing my whole life. "Jessica, ... Is it true? Was I an accident?" The pause told me everything I needed to know. "You were a surprise," she said carefully. "But once we knew about you, we wanted you. I wanted you so much. Baby, but not Dad." She didn't say it, but she didn't need to. Dad never wanted me, and everyone in our family knew it. I spent the next 6 years rebuilding myself from scratch. And let me tell you, the woman who emerged from that wreckage was nothing like the girl who got destroyed on her 24th birthday. The months after my birthday were the darkest of my life. I moved out of my parents' house into a tiny studio apartment I could barely afford. I threw myself into work with an intensity that scared even me. But something had shifted. The desperate need to prove myself to my father was gone, burned away by the truth of what he really thought of me. And without that weight, without that constant reaching for approval that would never come, I found something I'd never had before. Clarity. I started my catering business with $1,000 and a beat-up Honda Civic. I worked 18-hour days, took every job I could get, learned everything from scratch. Birthday parties, corporate events, weddings. If someone needed food, I was there. Within a year, "This place is beautiful," he said, looking around at the exposed brick walls. "The local art, the steady stream of customers. You did all this." "Yes." We sat at a corner table, and for a few minutes, neither of us spoke. I waited. This was his meeting, his call, his need to talk. "I'm in trouble, Jessica," he finally said. Of course he was. "The business is failing. Has been for 2 years now. We're behind on the mortgage, behind on everything. Your mother doesn't know how bad it is yet, but we're going to lose the house." I sipped my coffee and said nothing. I was hoping, ... Since you're doing so well, maybe you could help us out. A loan, or maybe you could buy the house and let us stay there, or... He trailed off, finally meeting my eyes. "I know I haven't been the best father." Stop. The word came out harder than I intended, but I didn't soften it. "You haven't been the best father. Is that what we're calling it now?" Dad shifted uncomfortably. "Jessica, I know I said some things. You called me a mistake. On my birthday, in front of our entire family. I was angry. I said things I didn't mean." "No." I leaned forward, keeping my voice calm but firm. "You said exactly what you meant, what you'd always thought, what you'd spent 24 years showing me through every dismissal, every comparison to Lucas, every time you looked right through me like I wasn't there." He was quiet now, staring at his hands. "You want to know something funny?" I continued. "You were right. I was a mistake. Your mistake. Because you had this amazing daughter right in front of you, and you were too blind and too bitter to see what you had. Jessica, please, I need your help." Those words, the same man who'd told me I was unwanted, who'd spent decades making me feel small and insignificant, was now sitting in my cafe, surrounded by my success, begging for my help. "You need my help," I repeated slowly. "Yes. The daughter you called a mistake. The accident that derailed your life. You need her help." Dad's face flushed red. I said I was sorry about that. "No, you didn't. You haven't said you're sorry once in this entire conversation. You said some things and that you haven't been the best father. But you haven't apologized for calling your daughter a mistake on her birthday." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry I said that." "Are you sorry you said it? Or are you sorry you believe it?" "I don't." "What do you mean? Do you still think I was a mistake? Do you still wish I'd never been born? Because if the only thing you're apologizing for is saying it out loud, then we don't have anything to talk about." I watched him struggle with the answer. And in that struggle, I saw the truth. "I thought so," I said, standing up. Jessica, wait, you know what the real mistake was? Dad. I looked down at him, this man who'd loomed so large in my childhood, who now looked small and desperate in my world. The mistake was me spending 24 years trying to earn love from someone incapable of giving it. I started to walk away, then turned back. You were a mistake, I said quietly, in thinking I'd ever need you again. Dad called me 17 times that week. I didn't answer. He showed up at another one of my cafes. I had my manager ask him to leave. He sent letters. I returned them unopened. Finally, Lucas called. Jess, you have to help him. No, I don't. He's family. He made it very clear I'm not his family. I'm just a mistake he's been stuck with. He's changed. No, Lucas, he's desperate. There's a difference. So you're just going to let them lose the house. Let Mom suffer because you're mad at Dad. That stopped me. Mom had never stood up for me, but she'd never been cruel either. She was just weak. Caught between a husband she couldn't control and a daughter she couldn't protect. I'll help Mom, I said, finally. But not him. I ended up buying a small condo for my mother. Put it in her name only. Made it clear that Dad was welcome to live there, but the home belonged to her, not him. Why? She asked when I handed her the keys. After everything. Because you're my mother. And despite everything, you tried to love me the best way you knew how. Dad never thanked me. Never acknowledged that his unwanted daughter had saved his marriage and his wife's security. I think accepting my help would have meant admitting I had value, and that was still too much for him. But you know what? I didn't need his thanks anymore. Lucas graduated and moved to Seattle. He sends me pictures of his photography. He's actually quite good. We talk every few months, carefully avoiding the subject of Dad. Mom calls every week. She doesn't mention the money or the condo, just asks about my life, my businesses, whether I'm happy, and I am. I'm happy. I'm 30 now, and I've learned something important about family. The people who gave birth to you aren't automatically your family. Family is the people who show up for you, who celebrate your successes, who love you not despite your flaws but including them. I have a chosen family now. My employees, who've become friends. The regular customers who ask about my day. The other business owners in my network who share advice and encouragement. I have people in my life who think my existence is a gift, not a mistake. As for my father, I heard through Lucas that he tells people his daughter owns 5 successful businesses in Denver. Apparently, he's proud now. Too little, too late. The girl who desperately wanted his approval died on her 24th birthday. The woman who rose from those ashes doesn't need anything from him anymore. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But I learned something better than revenge. I learned that the best response to someone calling you a mistake is to build a life so beautiful, so successful, so full of joy that you become grateful they showed you who they really were. Because if my father had been the loving, supportive parent I desperately wanted him to be, I might have stayed small. I might have stayed safe. I might never have discovered just how strong and capable and worthy I really am. So in a twisted way, he gave me the greatest gift of all. He forced me to save myself. And that woman, the one who built an empire from nothing, who turned pain into power, who learned to love herself when no one else would, she was never a mistake. She was always exactly who she was meant to be. If you're out there and someone in your life has made you feel like you're not enough, like you're too much, like you shouldn't exist, I want you to know something. They're wrong. Your worth isn't determined by other people's ability to see it. Your value isn't contingent on their approval. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are exactly who you're supposed to be, and your job isn't to make others comfortable with your existence. Your job is to build a life so authentic, So fulfilling, so undeniably yours that their opinions become irrelevant. Trust me, I know. For more heartwarming videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like, comment, and share. If you're craving powerful storytelling, raw emotion, and the sweet pain of karma, this is the place for you.